All right, well, this video is going to be very, very quick. This is something long of a blast from the past, if you wish. I was digging around. I have a large box of old red dots, but primarily different magnifiers. I was going to do some overview of different magnifiers available. And on the bottom of the box, I found a magnifier-looking thing that's not a magnifier. This is a red dot. And this is, well, gosh, this is probably old, maybe 20 years old, or close to it. Maybe not as old, but up there. This is a Millett ZoomDot. So I used to know the guys at Millett pretty well. They were in Southern California back when I lived there, and they were an interesting company. The Jim Millett, one, the guy who sort of owned it and stuff. He was a good engineer, not a businessman, but he came up with very clever engineering ideas, and he hired a gentleman by the name of Steve Langford, former military guy, to run the company, and he was fairly successful in getting one of the early decent quality Chinese products, reasonably decent, into United States. Somehow he found a way to get enough of them in. He went a little bit more tactical looking scopes. I think it was called TRS-1 or something like that. I don't remember what that scope was. The scope was okay. It was not too bad. Millett came up with their own rifle scope testing systems, actually pretty decent. And then they were trying to sell it here and there. I don't think they were super successful at it. One of the more unusual products was the ZoomDot. So there was apparently a reasonable number of aim point failures in the army, and they decided that they can do something more clever than that. How true the whole aim point failure business is, I cannot tell you. I'm not privy to the data, but that's what they told me. That's what they were going for. They came up with this. It's a very unusual, very innovative red dot sight, and I wish that concept was developed further. This is one of the very first few they made. It is a conventional red dot sight, except when you change this rotary knob, what happens is it goes in one direction, the sight is completely off. You go another direction, the dot starts changing size. It starts at about 1 minute of angle and goes up to about 10. The dot brightness is auto-adjusted based on how much light is coming in through the objective. It never gets super bright, but the idea is that if you want to go fast, you make it a 10 MOA large dot, and even when it's not ultra bright, although it's bright enough, if it's not ultra bright, you can go pretty quickly. And if you are trying to do something a little bit more accurate, or you have a magnifier behind it, you dial it back down to a smaller dot diameter, and that gives you a little bit more precision. The concept was interesting. The construction is super clever. Inside the tube itself, it's basically just a curved lens. It's an enclosed red dot sight, flat window here, curved lens in front. The emitter, all the electronics, everything is basically on one board that's contained in the side assembly. Windage and elevation adjustment are completely flush. You do it within Allen range. The only control is this. If you unscrew this thing completely, there's a battery in there. That's that same battery aim points at the time used, N13, something like that. LCAN also uses it. And that's it. One control, one battery, one electronics board. And if it dies, you pull this off, put another one, etc. It was designed in a very clever way for very, very easy maintenance. Then Bushnell bought Millett and didn't do anything with it. And eventually Millett as a product line withered away under Bushnell mismanagement, and the product line also withered away. The either had some issues selling a ZoomDot, but what was interesting, I never saw the concept really well explained. In many ways, this is a very interesting way of making a red dot sight, and I really wish somebody developed it further. Another really clever thing he did is that the covers are a little bit stiffer. The idea is because it's a feedback, you don't never really need to turn off the battery unless you want to. And the way the covers are set up, basically rudimentary V rear sight and V front sight, and across the room distances, if I really want to go fast, basically, with the covers closed, something right above here, anything that's in these notches at the cross room distances is basically toast. And the battery lasts forever because, when this is closed, the feedback mechanism keeps it very low. You open it up, and you have your red dot site, and if you want to change dot brightness, you have this big, that's about one really interesting thing here is that although it's a fairly old site, the lens is not as big and all this sort of stuff. In terms of the collimation quality, i.e. dot sharpness, it is still one of the best I've ever seen. I have mild astigmatism in my right eye, and this dot always looks perfectly sharp to me. It's kind of an interesting thing that way. I completely forgot I had it, found it purely by accident. It truly is a blast from the past. The MIllet ZoomDot.